Okay, here's a thought. What if our obsession, with always being right, has basically turned every online debate into this zero-sum blood sport? That's really the core question in Thomas Chatterton Williams' book, Summer of Our Discontent, The Age of Certainty and the Demise of Discourse. Williams, he's a staff writer at The Atlantic, really known for his independent takes on culture. Here are the most game-changing insights from this book, Practical Wisdom, that could transform how you think and act.
Yeah, Williams's main point, really, is that this demand for certainty, this idea that every position has to be totally unwavering, morally absolute, it's become, well, toxic, this fixation. It just drastically narrows what people feel they can even say in public. It sort of sets up these ideological purity tests that just kill open civil discussion.
And the cost of that certainty, it's striking, especially for movements trying to create change. The book basically says you can't really have social justice without tolerance for viewpoint diversity, right? The second you put that kind of ideological purity first, you kind of stop learning, stop exploring.
Exactly. You sacrifice the complexity you actually need to make real progress.
So you end up, attacking your own side.
Precisely. If the definition of justice becomes so rigid that it means shutting down different ideas immediately, well, you start eating your own, essentially. The focus shifts, right? From solving problems to just enforcing the party line. And here's the simple way you can start spotting this in your own feeds. Just look for arguments being won by kicking people out rather than actually persuading them. Are we maybe sacrificing real progress just to feel pure?
That shift. It makes you think about recent history. How did we get from the relative optimism of the Obama years?
Right, that sort of post-racial hope.
Yeah. How did that curdle so fast into the rage and division we saw peaking around 2020?
Williams maps that out. He sees it as a path from that shared hope right into these really explosive identity wars. He points to key moments, especially things like George Floyd's murder, as events that really cemented these fixed group identities as, the only valid way to talk about things in public. And as he puts it, the residues of the norm revolution of 2020 have lingered. They're still deeply affecting how we talk today.
So nuance just got pushed out by outrage.
Pretty much. The language changed. What would have happened if we'd leaned into the complexity instead? It's a big question.
This is Mindful Moments, our YouTube channel offering AI book analysis, summaries, and critiques, inspiring reflection and rational thought.
And that brings us right to this other controversial idea in the book, questioning this fashion for moral clarity. Williams argues that when journalism starts acting more like activism, objectivity kind of goes out the window. The goal changes from reporting what is happening to ensuring a specific moral outcome.
That's a really key point, because as the book says, no one agrees on what's morally clear. That's why objectivity still matters. The moment journalism and activism blur, you have to ask, right, whose morals are now setting the terms of the debate, and who's left out?
Yeah.
It feels like clear just becomes code for my side wins. Can we even get nuance back, or is that ship sailed? Watch the full episode to discover the complete framework for restoring nuance.
It does often feel that way. And this tendency, this reducing people to just one identity, that Williams calls identitarianism, it fuels the next issue he tackles.
Yeah.
The whole ripple effect of public shaming or cancel culture.
Which leads to this really provocative hook. Has cancel culture actually, maybe unintentionally, handed power to the very forces it wants to resist?
That's the core argument. Williams suggests that this constant public shaming, the internet mobs, it actually helps push frustrated people, especially, he notes, working-class Americans, towards more reactionary politics.
How does that work? Alienation.
Yeah, basically alienation when you have powerful cultural voices constantly enforcing these rapidly changing rules of etiquette and moral codes that feel totally alien or just exclusionary to a lot of people's everyday lives. It builds up real resentment.
So the feeling of being constantly judged or policed by the dominant culture actually becomes a reason to seek political refuge elsewhere, in movements that specifically reject that culture.
Exactly. Williams puts it bluntly. Cancel culture helps explain the GOP's appeal to working-class Americans. It forces you to rethink the lines of political polarization, to see the link between cultural enforcement and political backlash.
Wow. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Would fewer cancellations maybe mean fewer MAGA rallies? A provocative thought. Remember, you can explore all these insights further with us. Start with our 5-minute viral moments, then dive into the in-depth analysis. Next, the summary, ending with a comprehensive critique.
Yeah, ultimately, the book leaves you with a pretty strong challenge. resisting this fixed, reductive identitarianism, as Williams calls it, is actually vital if we want to sustain a liberal society, one where individuals, not just groups, are the focus of rights and respect.
Discover genre-based book podcasts at Mindful Moments. Subscribe and nourish your mind on the go.